Yo, what is up guys, it's Cross, and today I've got my hands on Corsair's newest flagship gaming mouse, the Sabre V2 Pro, which comes in at only 36 grams, and you heard that right, that's 36 grams without any holes at all on the mouse. So in this video, I'll break down every spec, plus what I actually experienced firsthand, compare it to other top picks, and let you guys know whether I think it's worth your money. So with that said, make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get right into it. Alright, so to start, let's talk about what comes in the box. So to start, obviously you guys are going to get your mouse, the Sabre V2 Pro, which in my opinion looks really clean. It's super sleek. I love the white color. It comes in either white or black. I decided to pick up the white color. Obviously, you guys can see it is USB Type-C. Overall looks amazing. You're also going to receive a warranty guide. You're going to receive some safety information, just pretty basic stuff there. You guys are going to receive some extra grip tape, which I actually find very helpful that they decided to add that in. You guys are also going to receive a wireless 8K dongle that actually has a non-detachable clip. That is right, you cannot detach that clip. It is permanently on there, and it's kind of meant to kind of slide onto the back end of your mouse pad. However, I've seen a lot of people complain about that because it is a little unfortunate that you can't take that away because it sits kind of awkwardly on your desk in my opinion. But that is the 8K Hertz wireless dongle. It supports up to 8K Hertz wirelessly, which is very nice. It also comes with some extra mouse skates. They're larger mouse skates compared to the stock ones. You get an alcohol pad, and then of course you get your USB Type-A to USB Type-C cable. So now let's talk about my very first impressions. So straight out of the box, immediately in hand, it felt light, like crazy light, and it feels different than honestly any other mouse that I've tried. It almost feels unreal in your hand, like almost like you're not holding a gaming mouse. I do have to say, the plastic did feel very thin, and it does feel very thin right now in my hand. It doesn't necessarily have a quality feeling, but I don't know how much quality feeling you can get by making a mouse this light. I still think that the build quality is very solid on this mouse. And yeah, first impressions were very solid. So now let's give a little specs rundown. So the price of this mouse comes in at $100 even, and in my opinion, that is a great price for what this mouse packs. For the weight, it is listed at 36 grams, and I've seen a couple people actually say that it's more towards like 34.7-ish grams, so that's even better. For the sensor, this mouse packs the Marksman S optical sensor, and Corsair claims a true 33,000 DPI, 750 IPS, and 50 gram acceleration. This mouse also supports up to 8,000 Hz polling, either wired or wirelessly, and obviously at lower polling rates like 1,000 Hz, you are going to get better battery life. And actually, speaking of battery life, you get up to 70 hours in the 1,000 Hz mode, but if you push this mouse to 8,000 Hz polling, you can expect that to drop significantly. Some reviews that I've seen suggest around 16-ish hours. For the switches, this mouse uses mechanical switches, not optical switches, that are tuned by Corsair and rated for 100 million clicks. So here's a little sound test for you guys. For the glide/skates, it comes with the standard PTFE skates, and it also comes with those alternate larger skates that you guys can swap in if you'd like. Now for the shell and the build. So to hit that ultralight number of 36 grams, Corsair used very thin plastic in the shell. That means that obviously some flex is inevitable. Now, I do not recommend death gripping your mouse, and most people I feel like don't death grip your mouse. It is important to note that I typically squeeze my mouse pretty hard when I play, and I've had zero flexing whatsoever with this mouse, and I've put a good amount of hours on it already. And yeah, the build quality is honestly phenomenal. If you guys stay in touch with the peripheral community, especially on Twitter, you can see there was a bunch of jokes of reviewers actually pushing in the back part of the shell and it completely caving in and like bubbling in. I'll show some pictures and videos on screen that I actually find hilarious. In my opinion, I understand that there's a need to stress test the mouse. However, I think it's absolutely hilarious to poke your thumb into the back end of the mouse. That is not really a stress test because you're never going to be doing that in game. So I find it kind of funny that reviewers are doing that. But it has just been like one big joke in the community, and I've gotten some laughs out of it. It's been pretty funny. But yeah, overall, in my opinion, this mouse has a phenomenal build quality. I've had no issues whatsoever. Now for the software and driver, I'll throw up a video on the screen that I took earlier. They do use a web-based browser called the Corsair Web Hub instead of a heavy desk software, which I actually love that a lot of mouse and peripheral companies are leaning more towards those web-based softwares. But in the software, it's super simple. You can remap buttons, change your DPI, your polling rate, etc., all that fun stuff. You guys can watch the video that I took earlier. Make sure you guys update the firmware and everything like that. Just make sure your mouse is completely up to date there. But yeah, the software is absolutely phenomenal. Now let's talk about my experience and any pros and cons that I've seen with the mouse. So, some of the pros. The weight is absolutely insane. It feels like you're holding almost nothing. The shape works great for my grip. I use a palm/claw hybrid, and I do have smaller hands, so I would definitely say this mouse is perfect for claw grip users, as well if you have larger hands, definitely like fingertip users. If you do have larger hands, I would not recommend this mouse if you guys do use palm grip, but if you have kind of that hybrid like I do, I definitely think this could work for that palm claw grip hybrid, and it works for me absolutely phenomenally. In games, it responds incredibly. I did not feel any major delays or stutters whatsoever in game. I played on stream last night for hours. Got a lot of wins, was doing amazing, my performance in-game was great, so honestly, zero complaints there. And obviously, there was no flexing whatsoever at all either, so I'm very impressed, again, with that build quality of the mouse. Now, the only con, literally the only con that I have found with this mouse whatsoever is that these side buttons are a bit mushy. And if you guys are familiar with Logitech's whole thing with their mushy side buttons, this is honestly pretty comparable to that. It does feel very similar to the side buttons on the Logitech GPX, and I know a lot of people are not a fan of those mushy side buttons, but I do have to mention it. They definitely are mushy, especially compared to like the Viper V3 Pro side buttons, which feel absolutely amazing. These definitely are a little bit mushy, and honestly, the G-Wolves HDX 4K, which is my main gaming mouse, does not really have mushy side buttons, and so it did take me a fat second to get used to these mushy side buttons, but you can't really tell that they're necessarily mushy once you get used to it. So I definitely think there's like a tiny bit of like getting used to time period with this mouse, but once you get used to it, it feels phenomenal, and I didn't even think about it after like 30 minutes. So just had to mention that one little con there. Now, I actually want to give some quick comparisons and where it stands compared to some of the bigger gaming mice in the industry right now. So, comparing it directly to the other flagship mouse that actually just released last week, the Logitech G Pro X Superlight 2C. And compared to that, the Sabre is much lighter in principle. The 2C comes in at around 51 grams, but it definitely trades off in quality. The GPX 2C is going to offer a more premium feel and definitely a more robust shell. However, the Logitech G Pro X Superlight 2C, I believe, comes in at an entire $50 to $60 more than this mouse, and I just don't really see the need to spend an extra $50, $60 on the G Pro X Superlight 2C. The specs are pretty much the same in this thing. Obviously, it is really only the build quality and feel, but like I said, I love the build quality with the Sabre V2 Pro. So I just wanted to compare it real quick to the Logitech G Pro X Superlight 2C, and I actually want to give a quick comparison to another mouse that I actually just found out about, but it is the Dario A950 Wing. It's basically identical in shape, it's advertised at 1 gram lighter, and it's listed at $10 cheaper. Now, I have not gotten a chance to personally test the Dario A950 Wing. However, in reviews that I've seen, people are saying that the build quality of the shell is lacking compared to the Sabre V2 Pro. And I know $10 cheaper, 1 gram lighter, those do sound very appealing. So I will also link the Dario A950 Wing down in the description below if you want to check that out. However, I did just kind of want to mention that and give it a quick comparison because I have seen a couple people mention that mouse, and it is extremely similar to the Sabre V2 Pro, like almost identical in shape. So now for my final verdict. If you guys are looking for a very solid claw/fingertip grip mouse that honestly isn't crazy expensive, then I would definitely recommend the Sabre V2 Pro. It gives you a featherweight feel in your hand, and it gives you some really great performance. So overall, I am very impressed with what Corsair did achieve with this mouse, and I'd say it's absolutely worth considering. I will have this mouse linked down below if you'd like to check it out. But yeah, that's it from me on the brand new Corsair Sabre V2 Pro. I will have all the links to all the mice talked about in this video down in the description below if you want to check those out, as well as my Amazon storefront. I'll also have that link down below as well. If you guys enjoyed this review, please hit that like button, subscribe for more videos, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.